Hi, this is Priority Station, and today we're bringing you day 455 of Russian invasion into Ukraine. As always, with former advisor to the Office of the President of Ukraine, Lieutenant Colonel Olexiy Arestovych, and Russian opposition politician, lawyer, and rather famous blogger, Mark Feygin. Thank you for your continuous support. Today's kudos go to N Hill and Arcane Math, and of course to Bill S. for his super thanks. Thank you all. You help us keep bringing that to you. All right, day 455. Enjoy. Dear friends, glad to see you all on Feygin Live. It is Wednesday, May 24th. Time is 5 minutes past 10 in Kiev, same time in Moscow. Day 455 with Olexiy Arestovych. Glad to see you, Olexiy. Good evening. We have 86,000 starting with us today. Over 20,000 click the like button. As usual, please continue sharing links to that stream in your social media. Send it in messengers wherever you can. Do not forget to click the like button, and if you have not subscribed yet, please do that to Feygin Live channel, to Olexiy Arestovych, and also to the Privateer Station if you are listening or watching that in English. And we'll start. We're 5 minutes late. Apologies, we had some technical issues. Everybody is traveling. You see on our background, they're not standard, so we may run into a few things down the road. We'll see. Let's start with the continuing PSYOP about supposed wounding of Zaluzhny. And initially there were some conversations posted by Prigozhin that they hit something somewhere, and now this kind of escalated and people are asking. And on the Russian side, they are talking about that in the news outlets, that supposedly Zaluzhny got hit somewhere in Kherson under artillery strike, and they escalated it to him now being undergoing some brain surgery or something. And today their head of intel on the Russian side said that we cannot be sure, but we heard that, and there maybe that was a successful hit. And the head of Ukrainian security office already said that Zaluzhny partook in the conference today, and things are going well, and all that is a PSYOP by Russia. So, Mark, I want to say they do not think, really. They do not have a long game here. They just picked something to attack their opponents here. Their conscience is like, it allows them to it. They're like little guppy fish who doesn't think too far beyond its nose. And they just grab the news and run with it. And more like in this case, they grabbed a rumor and ran with it. And what's the point? Just to hurt Ukraine, probably, right? The next question would be, what would Zaluzhny be doing in Kherson region? I don't know, maybe visited some command post? Okay, but what would he be doing it in Kherson region? If he was in the command post in the east, I would believe that. If he was in Zaporozhye region, I'd believe that. But in Kherson, what would he be possibly doing in Kherson, Zaluzhny, in that region? To look across the river and say, here we'll send 2 battalions over? If they talked that they wanted him in Bakhmut or in Zaporozhye, it might be even looking believable. Maybe in Kharkiv, possibly, but in Kherson, this is the worst candidate for such a rumor. So, in relation to that, we are running a poll today, and the question is, the Russian media news about wounding of Zaluzhny, is it fake or not? 89% are saying that yes, it is fake. No, it's not fake, 11%. Just testing the waters to see what our viewers think. All right, and let's approach it from a different angle. Imagine that somehow he got wounded. Would that be possible to influence in any way the military campaign that Ukraine is unfolding? How people are irreplaceable. because I think they want to cause that fear. They wanted to push that button and say, well, see, no Zaluzhny, no victory for Ukraine. I personally think that's a silly way to go because, even given my friendship and close relations with Valery for the last many years, he is, of course, an extraordinary person, amazing specialist, a guy who combines warm heart and goodness with unbending will of commander. A very unique combination. But military is a complex system that is controlled by different specialists at different command points, at different control points. And even if something, God forbid, happened to him, there are different commanders, there are different specialists who can pick up some better, some worse, but it's a huge mechanism that has a lot of moving parts. And today's warfare, it is different from the old meaning of that word. It doesn't take too much talent to move your troops. It actually takes more expertise and professionalism to make sure you fulfill all the needs and requirements of that whole big mechanism that is called modern military. And that's what I'm saying. Even, God forbid, anything happens to him, that whole system would still run rather smooth. And it's a silly proposition that he is the only one who makes our victory possible. Okay, so the follow-up question: what makes him so better than, for example, his opponent, Gerasimov in Russia, right? So possibly some innate abilities that people get born with, very randomly, they can be acquired during the life of individual. But what else? Western education that he studied somewhere abroad, unlike Gerasimov? No, Mark. He studied here in Ukraine in National Academy of Defense. I mean, after, when he had the higher continuous education or something. No. That's all the schools that he finished here, Arestovych Academy and a couple others, but no. You mean there was no NATO school? No, he was not studying anywhere in the West. He followed the training here, all home-bred and home-raised. And frankly, I keep making this point that even Russian military school, Soviet military school, actually Soviet had a lot of positive and serious and bright pages of military history. For example, Manjur operation done by Vasilevsky is one of the most brilliant operations of the 20th century. Problem of the Soviet military style is not that it was not capable, it was dumb and silly. It wasn't. It was actually pretty bright. But the problem is that the laws and postulates of the training were seldom ever fulfilled or seldom ever followed. And look, Zaluzhny didn't serve a day in a Soviet army, but he is a product of that same philosophic school. And look how brilliantly he is using that in the field. And at the same time, his Russian counterparts, Putin's counterparts, who apply whatever they learned there horribly when they keep storming the same point by a direct line, point A to point B, without any creativity, and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and trying to take a position by wasting a ton of people without anything interesting. So this is all about implementation. Well, Gerasimov supposedly is an author of a hybrid warfare book. I don't know if he is a real author or it was ascribed to him. Right. But I would say that Zaluzhny did make a few statements during the course of this war that he respects his opponent. And I think he is trying to understand the way Russian army fights and, make his conclusions and counter that. But the overall scheme is you need to follow the postulates, you need to follow the laws. They're like laws of physics of waging the warfare. and you need to keep doing that. And some people like Zaluzhny do, and some people, like some specialists, like his opponents on the Russian side, they do not. And of course, he is a bright person with a lot of ability. His military office is stuffed with a ton of literature, with a lot of reference material. He's actively using that. You can see that there are a lot of bookmarks and all, and there's usually something on his table that he is checking. He's creative. He's got a very light and creative touch. He's not like Zhukov in the Soviet Union, who was, again, that school of pushing through and roaring at your target and continuing to push until it breaks. He is of a different approach. He feels for his soldiers. He would never send them into the grinder if there is a different opportunity to wage the war. He actually does not forgive his commanders who waste their troops pointlessly. And those commanders don't get promoted in his army. If he notices some situation like that, his response is rapid and very effective. So he's definitely helping our big machine to work and function and continue winning. Just the night of the 23rd to 24th, when our army evaded that initial strike by Russian army and survived the initial 24-hour window. And that's why on the 24th, Russia already sent a note asking for negotiations, because on the military side, they realized they failed to achieve their goals even by 10% in the initial hours of this war. So, yeah, that's... and also today I did talk to his immediate close circle. I do work with them quite a bit. I did not talk to him today. He's a busy man involved in a ton of events and planning and meetings. But these are people that see him daily, that talk to him daily. If there was a hint of anything wrong, right, he would not be able to hide it, to conceal it. Exactly. They would have told me. So, no, it is a fake. It is a cheap fake, like Arestovych on the beach in Israel. Right. Yeah, they caught you, as if they caught you there, and they were peddling some. Well, wait. We are a European country, right? If I want to, I can post a nude part of the upper body on my social media if I want to. But yeah, they keep poking and trying to find some fakes around. So I think that they're in for those who believe that Zaluzhny is wounded and is out of the game, are in for a big surprise of their life very soon. All right. Thank you, Olexiy, for that. We're live for about 12 minutes. Please continue clicking the like button. That helps this video to get promoted, and it shows to more people. In YouTube feeds, we're continuing the poll. 88% are saying that Russian news about Zaluzhny's wound is fake, and 12% are saying it's possibly not. All right. Yesterday I had a stream with the commander of Russian volunteer corps, White Rex. His last name is Kapustin, and we call him by his call sign, White Rex. Today he and participants of his detachment and, of course, Legion of Free Russia, who also partook in Belgrade raid, I think in Sumy region, they came out with a press conference. I think we can call it a press conference. They met the press in the field. They showed some trophy equipment they brought back with them. And they said that actually Russian volunteer corps mentioned that they have 2 wounded after this operation. Nobody died on theirs, nobody was killed on their side. On Gavaron blog post, he showed some videos of the destroyed Russian equipment they blew up on the way, and they reached out to their goals, captured them, did what they wanted to do, and came back safe. So we understand that this is not the first raid, and it's probably we probably should be expecting the continuation of that exciting series. And at the same time, Konashenkov, Russian spokesperson for military, is up on the screen today saying that they killed 70, nobody escaped, and that will be always punished. So a couple of days after that event, there's a ton of more fakes about destruction of that diversion group. All right, I got a question mark. I think they're just doing the CYA operation, cover your ass. It's a typical Russian model. We could not do anything. We totally failed, but let's put something here that we maybe wounded Zaluzhny. We basically effed up in preventing the anti-Putin opposition, armed opposition entry to Russian Federation territory and capturing of a couple of villages. But we killed everybody and pushed everybody out. They don't have a single KIA in both detachments. In both? Yeah, in both. They withdrew only because Putin's troops started using bombs on the villages that they liberated. So they withdrew to not set the local citizens up for more damage. And that's the difference between Putin's troops and these guys and these opposition. And my continuous advice to those military who still have some sanity and whose conscience cannot tolerate that idiocy longer, I remind that 25% of people fighting in the Legion-Free Russia are ex-Russian military who were captured during the fight, during this war, and who decided to fight against Putin. And I keep suggesting consider that and change side. And I would say, the time when the first division switches, that'll be house of cards falling apart. Because at the end of this war, you'll be blamed for everything. A lot of you will end up in prison. And do you want to get your kidneys beat up and lose your teeth there in prison? Because you'll be despised by a lot of people. Putin allows for that. You've seen that he allows for all the marginal characters to attack even the officers of the high military command. So, and this is on the other side, where our your detachments that fight on our side, they withdrew. They actually left those positions when Russians started using bombs on without any sorting on the civilian buildings and the settlements. So your decision is pretty straightforward here. If you are to make it Russian officers, you can either be blamed forever as fascists, as murderers of your neighbors, or you can be heroes in perpetuity, the ones who helped to dethrone Putin and who will not face Hague Tribunal at the end. And the sooner you understand it, the better. All right, we continue moving forward. Let's take a look at the map if we can. I know you know it by heart, but we'll try to show it to our viewers. Okay, here is the map. So, in your opinion, anything happening on the front? Anything noteworthy? June is approaching. Today is 24th. Today is exactly 15 months since the beginning of this war, 24th of February, 2022. Some sort of the milestone. What can be said on the situation on the front and in the context of a possible counteroffensive, now most likely a summer counteroffensive? No major changes, Mark, in the last day. A couple days, the fights near Bakhmut continue. The enemy stopped their actions, paused did a tactical pause, but still is resisting. There is some pressure near Kremenная and Solidar up north, and overall the layout doesn't change. The format of this show doesn't allow us to go and discuss which group of trees was taken by which detachment were more on the higher level, but on the tactic on the higher on the operative level, there is not much happening. All right, so is it some sort of operative pause as well? Well, Mark, it's not a pause. They lost their ability to attack. They lost their ability to advance. Out of 1,300 kilometers of the front, they can concentrate only on Bakhmut and maybe try to push there. And they are saying that they basically captured the town, but they totally lost the flanks. If that is the way to conduct military operations, then I'm a ballerina. Okay. And by the way, I did note that they are. People were laughing at me that they will be closing borders, that they are making their laws harsher. And look, they recently adopted another law that allows their FSB and border officers to take the passport of a Russian citizen right there at the border. There were individual situations when they actually took the passport away before. They could find some reason, but it was more an exception than the rule. And now they have an official rule to it is their prerogative to take citizen's passport away, to basically take his right for free entry and the right to leave the country at his will. Especially, we know that they target the possibly mobilization resource, people who can be mobilized to the front. So, do you think they're preparing for the future softer and wider mobilization effort, or maybe a rapid one if they decide to announce that hey, we need more, so that people do not flee as they did during the first mobilization in autumn of 22? Does it look to you like there's another way of mobilization rolling onto Russians? Oh, it's ongoing. It never really stopped, Mark, and they do not want that to be happening rapidly. They don't want any social unrest, but they're doing the old formula of boiling the frog slowly. They're taking away some rights, they're limiting other groups of persons. Here they connected that to financial regulations, then they restricted your motion between the regions, and that's how it goes. Eventually, you find yourself fully trapped. The smart ones, they left, they already are not in the country, and the others who have no resources, no ability to live, they're still there, and it's the situation when yesterday they think they still have this window, and tomorrow they wake up and the window is shut down completely. And it's too late to rebel unless they're eager to gather in huge groups and start that process. Because they basically their only perspective is to get drafted, to be given a rifle and sent to the front line to fight their Ukrainian army. All right, so you think that they're boiling the frog? Yeah, absolutely. No, it's. I just want to reiterate those guys who are in Russia who can find any window. Yeah, pretend whatever you want to be, leave. Do not partake in that. Because if you're sent to the front, you're facing 90% probability of death or serious wounding, and you also will bear a mark of war criminal for Vladimir Putin. Unless you're a huge fan of Vlad, if you're one of that Putin-based characters, you should not be part of that war. All right, now let's go to international news. We've been live for about 24 minutes. We have a bit more time. What do you think about the visit of the Minister of Defense, Ben Wallace, to Kiev? Given the context of long-range missiles, these Storm Shadows and the rest, does it mean that there were more elements negotiated, more things needed negotiation? Right, Minister of Defense usually finalizes key aspects of big deals, big dealings between countries. The main thing, I think, is that Britain came out and made a statement that Many people in Russia think that the West will grow tired of supporting Ukraine. They'll get bored and concerned, and they'll eventually stop. We will. We pledge our support to Ukraine for years, and Brits are also known that they give a good example to everybody else. Um, we don't see anybody jumping off the bandwagon, but they definitely are cheering everybody else and bringing them in, because all the new nomenclature items, long-range missiles, long-range artillery, Britain was the first country to break that seal. The rest of the West might still have had a discussion about it. Britain was already up on the front. I've had the decision made and already shipping us items. So thank you, huge thank you to Great Britain for that. And the third big war must be won. Look, Stoltenberg also made an announcement today, and we're approaching NATO summit, that Ukraine will not be accepted to NATO until the end of this war. So that is not a thing that will happen, but conversations about adopting Ukraine as a NATO member still continue, still ongoing. I want to say that I'm very skeptical about any guarantee outside of NATO. NATO, I think, is the main guarantee. Even though President Zelensky is insisting on alternative measures, alternative security agreements, and he is inviting other countries to that. What can you say about it? Well, our goal is very simple. We are going to join NATO. And I understand, okay, if it will happen at the end of, after this war, that's fine, but we need guarantees along the way. There are some guarantees that work. Not all of them are worthless. There are guarantees that Israel has from United States, right? Even though United States do not actively partake in Israel situation there, they continue providing help. Same thing here. For example, it'll take us 3 years to join NATO after the war. What should we do? Should we be left to hang dry for 3 years without any guarantees? That's not a good road. There got to be a better roadmap, because without guarantees of that, nobody will be investing money in our economy. Nobody will be investing in development here. Of course, they'll rebuild because that's a whole other monetary aspect of it. But long-term investments will not come without the guarantees of the future, of the cloudless future for Ukraine. So this is a main milestone for us in the whole situation. But along the way, there's got to be guarantees just to ensure the safety and security of that process. Today, France also made a statement they're ready to sign a guarantee document posting their position that they're pro-Ukraine joining NATO. So for us, it's a slow process where we gather allies that support us and change opinions of countries who initially said no, but now are for us. But yeah, it's just a long road. There is another illusion that people think that countries with territorial conflicts are not being adopted to NATO. That is a myth. Just remember Turkey and Greece, who both being NATO members, they actually fought. They actually had an armed conflict over Cyprus. Or if you remember relations between Britain and Spain about Gibraltar, or the fish wars that some of the countries waged. There was no actual hot warfare there, but there were maneuvers. So this is a myth that the country that has territorial issues is never accepted into NATO. So the only thing that they don't do is that NATO doesn't accept countries with an active hot war going on. So when that is over, then we'll get back to that. Okay, and we are continuing our poll about the wound of Zaluzhny. No, it's fake, 88%, and 12% think it's real. And Mark, if I would not be talking on this phone, I would have sent you a message right now. Valery Fedorovich, are you wounded? Can you ask him after the stream? Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's a highly elevated topic. 300,000 people are concerned with your health. Right. Well, we are discussing what is in the radar. It's just, yeah, Mark, I did not want to bother him for that idiotic fake, but after that stream, I will ask him. You know, it makes sense now. If Ukrainian National Security Office made a comment, then I think it justifies asking that question. Yeah, right. Normally, you're not supposed to bother highest military official in the country with these idiotic rumors, but since the official parts are participating in dispelling that PSYOP, we need to do something. I'll be on it. An ex vice Minister of Defense of Belarus made a statement, being outside of Belarus, saying that there are a lot of forces outside the borders of Belarus, Belarus people, outside the territory of the country, who are preparing for the rebellion within Belarus. And he made quite a few statements before Skripchak in a stream Polsat by Polsat channel. He mentioned that there are enough forces outside Belarus, those that escaped Lukashenko regime, who are preparing to enter the country when the rebellion begins there. So, given that Lukashenko is still alive, despite all the concerns about his health, and is visiting Moscow again, not quite sure why, but still, perspective to topple him without waiting for him to die. How big is it, do you think? You mean the perspective of invading Belarus when he is still alive? Well, I don't mean it as that full invasion like that. I would say when I visited the Kalinovsky detachment in Kiev, I did ask this question. That I heard that there are a lot of people who are ready to act. And these people are not only in Ukraine, who are fighting in Kalinovsky detachment and other paramilitary organizations comprised of Belarus citizens, but also in Lithuania, in Poland. There are a lot of Belarusians who fled the regime control, and they're eager to go back and support the uprising. So that they would be coming from different sides to support if that happens. Mark, do you know how to find a person with strategic thinking talent? It'll be a person who thinks about the conditions, what needs to happen in order for a certain eventuality to unfold. So if the person is thinking about that, then he does have some basic strategic thinking. So looking at that perspective, what needs to happen? The crisis of legitimacy, the crisis of Lukashenko's power. When does that happen? When he doesn't have enough support. And it's not something that's hanging in the air. This is just, in essence, legitimacy is an agreement by people that they give to their leader to run them. Lukashenko is being hated by at least a third, being tolerated by another third, and maybe a third that are supporting him. But he does have some legitimacy, and that he acquired by suppressing and drowning in blood the previous protests. So that needs to be dispelled first before any forces will enter Belarus. Right now, there are no right conditions for taking that power. After that, of course, there'll be elections and all. So his death could become such a condition, and I don't see others yet. I don't see other conditions that would play that same effect. That would be just as effective in toppling that legitimacy of his regime. I understand there are a lot of young people eager to go and topple him, but I don't see that happening yet. Conditions for that there. You're also some of Belarus blood, right? You might consider looking into that conflict too. Yeah, but we need to wait, Mark. We need to wait to the right moment because remembering the statement made by Lenin, we would be idiots to spend our resources for creating a revolutionary situation that is ephemeral, but we would be even more idiots if we did not or would not be ready to use that situation whenever it presents itself. So, and again, this will likely be not a government decision, right? It'll be an initiative of people. There got to be some people's uprising to and dissent in order to launch that process. So we'll see. Okay, Prime Minister of Georgia, Irakli Garibashvili. He is, of course, from that pro-Putin's party, Georgian Dream, from the party of Ivanishvili, their large oligarch. After opening the air communication with Russia about their statement, after making a statement that they're not ready to join sanctions by Europe, he made a statement saying that economy of Georgia will fall if they will implement direct sanctions against Russia. Their trade saldo with Russia, trade volume is less than $1 billion, and Europe trades only. It takes Europe to trade only 4 days to reach that number. So, where is logic when they call upon us to sanction Russia by Georgia? He's not exactly truthful there, but look, he's definitely peddling his line of connecting with Moscow. Georgia, according to my information, is basically running towards Moscow. And there are already plans for increasing Russian embassies in Georgia, and we understand what it means. It means that they'll grow the number of special services officers working officially in the country, and they'll be conducting work with Georgian society to massage it to a certain position. So this is very understandable line of behavior that will likely lead them to also investment and some business and other ways of cooperation. So Georgia is definitely moving towards Russia instead of the West, and it's not even threatening anymore. It's just obvious. It's in the obvious phase. What do you think? How much time does Georgian society have until the moment when they will lose all the capability to protest and stop it? Mark, I don't see them losing that capability. People can express their lack of support to it just by, not even by rebellion, they can or uprising. They can do it at the election polls as well. Regardless how much you saturate everything with propaganda and with your own people, they can still come and vote. People will make a decision and will vote because that's the easiest way for them to do it, and it's still available. The West will, of course, give its grade. It will come through closure of different programs, joining NATO, joining Europe, and of course financial sanctions, right? Of course. And we just need to understand that that clan ruling Tbilisi is not all of Georgia, and we'll see if the population will tolerate them anymore during the next election cycle. We have given our statement about Georgia, and we do talk to a lot of people who are involved in dealings with Georgia. And I visited Israel recently and talked to the Ministry of Defense people and experts in the industry, and they're already saying that everything is clear about Georgian Dream. Nobody has illusions. They did not have any illusions about it, but now they're totally confirmed. And they're not even picking the right formulations or diplomatic formulations. They know that, that party is Putin's thing. So everybody is saying that it's literally up to Georgian people now. And I will add here for myself that Western Intel also have information about the party directly communicating with Kremlin and have transcripts of those communications. So they should not be thinking that all these things are hidden. And there are recordings now how they communicate with Kremlin leadership, how they discuss monetary aspects of all these actions, and they should not be thinking that they'll be able to hide It's about time for them to come out and say, "Yeah, we are pro-Moscow party. That's how we do it. Stop all with the charade of looking both ways." And we'll see if they'll take any populist actions to try to get more people on their side, and we'll see how it unfolds. We've been live for about 40 minutes in these difficult conditions. I was for the last day in one of the European capitals and addressing the commentary in the chat. It's not the face, my face that's red. It's just a bit of a psychedelic tint here in the room. And people are laughing in the chat saying that Feygin is either drunk or was sunbathing with Arestovych in Israel somewhere. So, guys, no, this is just a light in the room. Just consider that we are doing our streams in conjunction with, without stopping our other political activities and visits. So, give us some slack. Our poll about Russian media statements about wounding of Zaluzhny. Do they think Russian media are doing a PSYOP and it's a fake? 88% think it's fake. 12% thinking it's not a fake. We're finishing that, and I think it was curious. People overwhelmingly consider that to be fake. That means that they do dig pretty well in what to trust, what not to trust. And thank you, Olexiy, for being with us. I will also thank myself because I'm traveling. It takes an extra effort. Our next stream is on Saturday, right? Shouldn't be any blockers. Yep, Saturday. All right, Saturday, 10 p.m. live stream. That stream will come in English on Sunday morning, Eastern Time. And do not miss that. We'll be looking forward to see you again with us. Olexiy, see you on Saturday. Yep, thank you, Mark. See you all. Good luck.